you know. And we want to be, you know, we all have loved ones that we want to be with at some time. And that's gone on before us. And I have a real strange title to this message tonight because it kind of covers two subjects. But the title of my message tonight is Wisdom of Death. Because you can look at it in a couple of different ways. One of the biggest things is the only true wisdom that you can gain is from the Word. You know, you gain wisdom, knowledge, experience through the Word. That's the true wisdom. You know, now you can gain worldly wisdom. You learn things by just living life and everything. But when it comes to true wisdom, it only comes from God. And I'm going to read in Ecclesiastes tonight, the 9th chapter. When it comes to wisdom, we're going to pretty much a specialist here. But it's chapter 9, and I'm going to start reading at that 10th verse. I'll read it, and you can be seated. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do it with thy might, for there is no work, no device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave, whither thou goest. You may be seated. Now, I want us to remember here where it talks about whither thou goest. This means that you can do all these things, and without God, you're just going in the ground. You see, without all these things, you can do them you can work just as hard as you want to work. You can do just as much as you want to do. You can do all these things. But without God, it's just vanity, meaningless. We have to understand that if you want true wisdom, you want true understanding, look, take my advice. You know, people say, and all of y'all heard it, y'all heard people say, you know, they'll say, I'm trying to find myself. How many people have said that? You've heard people say that. I'm trying to find myself. Well, look in the mirror. It ain't too hard to find yourself. The problem is, the reason why so many people can't find themselves is because they're looking in the wrong place. The biggest problem is they're not looking toward the Word of God. They're looking to the world. That's why they can't find themselves. People don't want to find themselves in God because they don't want to commit to God. But I don't want to get off on the negative tonight. With so many people not wanting to turn to God, I just want to be able to help anybody realize how good it is to turn to God.
Right. Amen.
Because you will gain a wisdom and understanding. I'm going to read that 10th verse one more time. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave, whither thou goest. Solomon is trying to help us understand here, it really don't matter how good a person you is here, you are still going to die. You know, we've talked about that a bunch of times. I've talked about getting a healing. I have seen people be healed from cancer. But those same people, unless they're here during the rapture, those same people are still going to die.
Yeah.
I don't care how many times you get healed, you know, you're still going to die unless you can call up the rapture. But what we have to understand is we should live this day like it's our last day.
Right.
And that last day should always be lived in Jesus' name.
Right.
You see, if you found out that you were going to die tomorrow, I would hope as a child of God, you would virtually pray almost completely unceasing. You would turn to God the whole time till you die. But you see, we don't do that. Now, some people say, well, Brother Richie, it's hard to do. Well, it'd be way harder for me to turn away from God than for me to stay with God. You know, we see all these. Let me go ahead and read some more scriptures. I'm going to get ahead of myself. But there is one thing that I did want to read here because this was in my. I have one of my study guides. It had a little paragraph here that I wanted to read that I think every one of us should really hear and understand. Because it explains to us, it kind of highlights a kind of a marker of what Solomon's talking about here when he talks about, look, you could die at any time. You better live while you can live. But you should live in God. You know, what's that old country song back several years ago? What is it? What is it? Die like you're... Do like you're dying or whatever it is. I don't think that song comes from this paragraph. But it says, some people deny death, hoping against hope that it will not come, not happen or not come. You know, we all look at death as something that, well, I ain't got to worry about it. That sick person over there got to worry about it. I ain't got to worry about it unless we come up on a wreck and say, well, I ain't got to worry about that person in the wreck's got to worry about it. We do. We put off, it's like we don't understand that we are going to die. I'll tell you what, if you sit down and start having a conscious thought about how you are going to close your eyes at some point and be in the presence of God. But that point is going to come. There's wisdom in realizing that and understanding that so that we can try to start enjoying life more in God. Some people ignore death, pretending that it is not to come. But Solomon says that the right approach is to recognize that death is coming and live differently because of it. We should embrace the days God gives us, live them to the full. I like this next one. Eat every meal as though it were a banquet. Celebrate every day as though it is a party. Live every day we are married as though we are on our honeymoon. Work every day as though it is our final achievement. Life does not always turn out as we would like. As Solomon says, the race is not always to the swift, but if we are grateful for each day we are given, we will live well and end our days satisfied. You know, we should live every moment like it's our last. I find it hard to do. I mean, I have to say, me, I find it hard to do. I have a high-stress job. And if I'm not careful, that high-stress job affects me no matter what I'm doing or who I'm talking to. Just like if we allow things to come in our life we know are disruptive, we know aren't good, those things are going to affect our life no matter who we're talking to or what we're doing and all those things. But when we realize that we don't have to stress like we think we do, we don't have to deal with things like we think we do, we just got to count on God. If we're doing our best and we're in God, He's going to take care of it.
Right.
I worry so many times, Brother Jody, I've gotten worried about things, about what's going to go on tomorrow, worrying about tomorrow, and not even considering today. Wait, I said the thing about, you know what, a Christian, you know, look, as a Christian, we do this. Look, my life in the last 10 years, it just went, you know why? Because Monday morning, oh Lord, back to work. Got church Wednesday night. What am I working for from Wednesday to Friday? Waiting on the weekend, waiting on payday. I'm looking for that. I'm not looking at Thursday and what I can do Thursday night, Friday. What I'm looking at is I get paid Friday, and then I can enjoy the weekend and try to enjoy the weekend even if you haven't worked 6 days. So we look at the weekend. Then we're looking from Wednesday night, we're looking to Sunday. What's going to happen Sunday service? But we got a lot of days between those services. We should be living life between. I do that with our job. Everybody does it with their job. We don't want to think about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. All we want to think about is Friday. Hump day and Friday. You know, everybody's seen the camel. Hump day. You know, everybody looks for those things, but we're passing up what we're living in today. We're not considering and thinking about enjoying today. All I can think about when it starts getting close to 3:30 in the evenings, all I can think about is I want to get there and pick Gibbs up. Pick him up, me and him goes to the house. We have our routine. We fall into a routine.
Right.
We do a lot of the same things every day. The same things. And next time you look up, he's 4 years old. Some of y'all are saying, next time I looked up, he was 15 years old.
Yeah.
25. And we're not appreciating it as we live it. I wish I had a real simple answer, but the only answer I know is it's in God. You know, we have to be aware of ourselves and our surroundings and the things that goes on around us. But as long as we're always counting on God, God's always going to be there. He'll calm your nerves. He'll take care of you. He'll explain things to you. He'll give you discernment. He'll comfort you. He'll embrace you. He'll make you, when you're cool, he'll make you feel warmer. When you're getting too hot, he'll cool you down. God can do all these things. If he doesn't change the situation around you, he'll change the way you perceive it and make it that much easier for you. Think about all those people that you see every single day that doesn't have what you have from God. Those people that think about all they're thinking about is torment. Thinking about heartache. Let me go ahead and read some more because I hadn't read a lot of verses. Let me read that 11th verse. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happeneth to them all. And you know what? One of the things that really understand, let me go ahead and read a little bit more because Solomon kind of gets into it. For man also knoweth not his time as the fish that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare, so are the sons of men snared in an evil time when it falleth suddenly upon them. We wonder why bad things happen to good people. Solomon is basically explaining it to us right here because we're living in an evil time. We're caught up in that net of an evil time, and bad things happen to good people. Although we may be appreciating the days, sometimes bad, we can't understand it. We don't understand why in the world is that happening to them. I don't know. I've had bad things happen in the past. Has any of y'all ever had anything bad happen in the past? You know what what's the most part of the wisdom that we can gain from that bad thing happening? Is that we made it. We're still here. No matter what happened 7 or 8 years ago, no matter what happened 10 years ago, we're still here now. You know, it's like I said it a bunch of times. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Well, tonight is now. Today's gone now, and for sure. We have to understand that we have to live in the moment we're living in and living in God.
Right.
So many people want to live in vanity, want to live in, all these different things. We talked about that a million times in the adult class about, watching TV and seeing things. You know what? I have to say, I cannot walk in my house and be in there more than 5 minutes without cutting the TV on. And it's not that I don't necessarily watch it. It's just it's a habit that I have that it seems like it has to be playing in the background. And then if we're not careful, we'll sit there and lose 2 or 3 hours watching TV and then talk about how we never have time to read the Bible. It's so easy to do. It's so easy to do. You know what it boils down to? Little Charles says it all the time. Boils down to how much you love God. But that part of it boils down how much of a desire do you really have to please God. The peace of God can calm any storm. There's not a situation that can't be dealt with in this time that hadn't been dealt with in this time.
Right.
We talked about it. It seems like the scriptures was just written just a few days ago. A lot of times we look back and we see, we can't understand. We're like, wow, I can't understand. It seems like this was just written. That 13th verse there, this wisdom have I seen also under the sun, and it seemed great unto me. There was a little city, and few men within it. There came a great king against it, and besieged it, and built great bulwarks against it. Now there was found in it a poor wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city, yet no man remembered that same poor man. You can look at this in the aspect of the world today. You know what? Unless somebody's famous and wealthy, nobody considers their wisdom. Unless you're famous, nobody considers that wisdom, that understanding. And I've talked about it before. My daddy, unbeknownst to me when I was young, was a very wise man. Years ago, I would have argued with you about that. I was trying to explain stuff to him. Actually, I didn't try to explain it to him. I just didn't say nothing. But had I known, and he's never been famous except to me. He's never been a millionaire unless it's unbeknownst to me. But I've gotten wisdom and understanding. I've had more help. I've had more intuition from him. All these things. I've gotten more things from him who's not famous, who's not popular, who's not this and who's not that, than I've ever even thought about getting from somebody off TV that's in the limelight, that's millionaires, that's this, that's that. But you see, we don't give those people credit like the people that are in the light and shining. We have to understand that just because you may think you're small, you can make a huge difference. Your light shining on one person can change somebody's life. And I'm serious. I've said it a bunch of times. Our light just shining on somebody for just a few seconds can change that person's day.
Right.
Just like you shining darkness on somebody's day can change their day. I've had a few try to shine darkness on me. I just had to shine light back on them. Can I get amen? Amen. Just a little bit of light diminishes the darkness, right? It really does. We go to that 15. Now there was found in a poor, well, I read it. Let me go to that 16. Then said I, wisdom is better than strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. The words of a wise man are heard in quiet, more than the cry of him that ruleth among fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroyeth much good. This, and it gets into it more because we're going to flip over into the, we're going to flip over to that 10th chapter. And we're going to start that first verse there, but I want us to have a little bit of perception of kind of get a little more of an idea of what he's talking about here when he's talking about how wisdom overcomes strength. And I've learned this in a job or in work and everything. I remember one thing come to my mind. How many people in here has ever had to dig with a shovel a lot? I'm talking about dig ditches with a shovel. A lot. I have. Some of you have. A lot of you ain't. You're fortunate. You should be up here praying to God, thanking Him for not ever having to use a Chinese drag line, as they call it. We know a plumber used them. My daddy was a plumber. I know. But I want to tell you something. It's a simple tool. It's simple as it can be. And it can either help you or break you. I had a man one time, I was struggling. I was trying to, I was just trying to just scoop and just do this and do that. He said, wait a minute. He said, let me show you something. And he took the shovel and he put it down there and he said, here, you put it up against your leg, up against your thigh, and you push with your leg. And just that, and Brother Jody can testify to it, just that little bit of wisdom that he put on a simple tool that little bit of wisdom that he gave me, and he wasn't famous. I didn't see it on YouTube. But that little bit of wisdom that he gave me helped me immensely. Helped me take care of a problem or an obstacle that I had to dig through. It helped me through that with just a little bit of wisdom and a little bit of knowledge. That's like trying to cut a tree down with an axe. If you have the wisdom and knowledge in how to sharpen an axe, it makes it a sure lot easier to cut down a tree with an axe. You know, you see, it's iron. It's strong. Virtually, normally unbreakable to a man except for the handle. Got to get witness on that. Yeah, we broke a lot of handles. But with a little bit of knowledge and wisdom and a little bit of grinding, you can make that job so much easier. Well, let me tell you something. If you only comprehend in a little bit of how much this wisdom can ease you into the world and ease you into your day, show you how much easier it is to cut through that tree, how much easier it is to use that shovel to dig through that dirt, how much easier it is to deal with that situation you think you're going to have tomorrow, but you don't necessarily have it because you just think you do. We have to think about it. 9.8% of the time, Brother Smooth, it never happens to begin with. The things we worry about. It does. And with just a little bit of wisdom and knowledge, we can understand that most of the time it don't matter anyway. I know there's a bunch of kids now that don't have this little bit of wisdom. If you ever want anything, you got to have a job. My daddy always told me, son, there's one thing, you've always got to have a job. If you're going to get another job, don't quit your job till you get another job. He instilled that in me. Son, you got to have a job. You got to work. I don't necessarily like to work. You know, I'm fortunate enough now. I have a job that I kind of enjoy. But you know what? That work doesn't mean anything to me as far as joy when it comes to my family. That job don't mean a thing to me. I'd drop it tomorrow if it got between me and my family. I tell you what more. I'd drop it tomorrow if it got between me and my God.
Right. Right.
We cannot let the things of this world distract us and keep us away from our God.
That's right.
But we have to understand that just that little bit of wisdom from God can make each day so much more enjoyable, so much easier in our relationships, in our friendships, in our just dealing with every day. I tell you what else it'll help you with almost more than anything I can think of right offhand. At least this is what's coming to mind. You know what it'll help you deal with most? Your past. Because a lot of people struggle with dealing with their past. And you know what's so crazy about it, Brother Charles? It's just common sense to think the past doesn't matter now. Remember what we talked about a while ago. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. And we're not guaranteed in the morning.
Right.
And we're spending all day today stressing out about what we did yesterday and worried about what we're going to do tomorrow.
Right.
What position are you in?
Right.
Let me read this. I'm gonna get in because it kind of goes into that next subject of death. In that 10th chapter, that first verse, dead flies cause the ointment of the apothecary to send forth a stinking savor. So doth a little folly in him that is in reputation for wisdom and honor. You know, this is so true. I mean, it is. Let me go ahead and read that next one. A wise man's heart is at his right hand, but a fool's heart is at his left. Yea, also, can we read that one more time, Brother Charles? Yea, also, when he that is a fool walketh by the way, his wisdom faileth him, and he saith to everyone that he is a fool. But I want to back up to that. Well, we could go that now. But anyway, I want us to understand here where he talks about a little folly in him that has a reputation. You see, that's why somebody that gets built up, and they're built up on this pedestal, and one little thing happens, man, everybody's like, oh, they're just this, they're that. You know, I've talked about that a bunch of times, playing in a band and stuff, and some guys testify that. You can play 100 great shows, but people will remember one bad show you done. You could do 100 great things for the church and mess up one time, and the whole church will remember that bad thing you done at the church.
Right.
And the church gets quiet. You see, that's one of the things that I try myself, is to not fall into that way of falling in with everybody else on getting so down on somebody about messing up. Because if they've done a whole lot of good things, I'm not going to forget about the good things they've done. Now, what they do with their life can diminish their witness to other people. It can. Especially if they continually do it. You know, it's not funny, but I mean, we just love to laugh, other than cry. But it doesn't diminish what they did good for God. But so many of us is ready to jump astraddle of them and hold them to the ground. Give them a certain amount of time, you're going to allow them, and they might do this or do that, might do this. Well, unless they rip you off in a business deal, then don't be too busy with them no more. That's just sheer common sense. But we have to understand that people are going to have things go on. But do not diminish the good that somebody has done. But when it comes, we got to remember something. When it comes to God, His grace is how we're going to heaven. You know, whether you forgive them or not, if they ask forgiveness of God, they're forgiven. And if you hold a grudge against them, guess what? You ain't going. Because the Word says what, Sister Simon?
Take heed when you stand. When you stand, take heed lest you fall.
Well, what about forgiveness?
You don't forgive when you can't be forgiven.
Can't be forgiven. If you don't know how to forgive, you're not going to be forgiven.
Right.
So you got to think about it. If you're holding something against somebody like that, you're holding those things against you. See, you're starting to mount. Let's think about it in this aspect. You're starting to, like I've always talked about, that speaker. If God was coming out of that speaker, the more things, unforgiven things, I'm putting between me and that, the farther I am getting away from that. The less I can hear it, the less I understand it, the less I can recognize when it talks to me. I hope it's somebody talking through it, not talking to me. You see, all that forgiveness, if you're harboring something like that, it's keeping you from getting any forgiveness. All those things are building up on you. And I'm going to tell you what, you're not guaranteed leaving this sanctuary tonight. And I do not want to be caught with a pile of unforgiveness and standing before God saying, yeah, but though. Yeah, but though. Yeah, but they did this to me. Yeah, but they did that. You see, when you're before God, there's no they, them, or there. It's you. It's you. Nobody answers for you but you. Where did I stop at, Brother Ben? 3. Yea, also when he that is a fool walketh by the way, his wisdom faileth him, and he saith to everyone that he is a fool. Boy, I want to get political right there so bad. I'm not going to do it. In the spirit of the ruler rise up against thee. Leave not thy place, for yielding pacifieth great offenses. There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, as an error which proceedeth from the ruler. Folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in low place. I have seen servants upon horses, and princes walking as servants upon the earth. He that diggeth a pit shall fall into it. Whoso breaketh a hedge, a serpent shall bite him. Whoso removeth a stone shall be hurt therewith, and he that cleaveth wood shall be endangered thereby. This lets us know that no matter how great and strong and big you think you get, it could take just one little thing to just completely tear you down and be back on everybody else's level. We can't allow ourselves to be built up like that. But you see, this happens. I really want us to understand the Holy Ghost keep you from being this way. The Spirit of God can keep you from being this way. The Spirit of God will humble you. The Spirit of God gives you, what's the fruits? Meekness, mildness, understanding, discernment, all these things that comes with the Holy Ghost. It helps you make better decisions. It helps you understand people. It helps you forgive people. It helps you forget things you need to forget. It helps you see things you need to see in discernment and in situations and understanding other people. You won't be so quick to judge. You won't be so quick to turn away. You won't be so quick to not forgive. All because of the power of the Holy Ghost. But as Solomon is basically telling us here, without the Spirit of God, it's just vanity. It's meaningless. You're going to die. And if we want to say it in Solomon's time, you're going to Sheol or hell. We have to understand that he's trying to warn us. He's trying to tell us through the power of God, through the Word of God. He's telling us. He's warning us. He's trying to help us understand what really matters in your life. Happiness in God. And all this other stuff is just stuff. There's no reason for anyone to go through their whole life always unhappy, claim to be a child of God. You know, we talk about Jesus. We have to understand, and I talked about in adult class, we need to use him for the example that he was for us. Okay, let's use it in a simpler term. When Jesus got mad, did he throw a cussing fit? No, he just took care of business. When the ones mourned and wept around him, what did Jesus do? He mourned and wept with them. Why is that? Because the Word says to. Well, you brothers and sisters. If they laugh, they laugh. If they cry, cry. They weep, weep. Jesus got baptized, so we should all get baptized. You weren't in the adult class, we talked about that. Do you have somebody that's thinking about getting baptized and they're talking about, well, I don't know if you need to die, I don't know. Just ask them, okay, well, was Jesus an example for us? And if they say yes, say, Jesus got baptized. And who was the first, I'm going to use this term loosely, person to speak when Jesus was baptized? Does anybody know? It was God. This is my Son, in whom I am well pleased. You see, there's not a situation that you can't handle. Jesus stepped back, and we'll use it in a loose term. He stepped back, took part of his clothes off, got down and took a pan and washed people's feet around him. Has anybody here ever been a part of a foot washing? You talk about one of the most humbling experiences that have ever been in your life. To allow someone to wash your feet. We have to understand that he's our example. I don't remember ever hearing Jesus gossiping about anybody. I don't remember ever hearing him stirring up strife about anybody. As a matter of fact, when it got right down to it, and y'all have all read it just like I have, you're sitting there going, when Pilate's asking him, what have you done? What questioning. You're just like, you want Jesus to just get up and go, all right now, let me tell you this. And he didn't do that. Why did he not do that? Because he was our example. He's our example. If you always have it in the mindset as our example, you'll never have a situation that you won't know how to deal with. You can always turn to Jesus. You can always be an example in some aspect, in some way, how to deal with anything that comes along in life. But one of the things we really have to understand is we need to enjoy each day and every moment like it's our last. In God. I'm going to turn it over to Charles.
Sin complicates.
It does. That's right.
That's why life is so much simpler when we turn it over to God.
That's right. That's right.
I mean,
You're right.
that's real.
That's it.
Repent, get sin out of life, turn the life over to God.
That's right.
Sin in your life complicates life. We say, hey, no, look at the world.
That's right.
Look at the world and see what kind of shape they're in. Praise God. But we've got a God that will forgive. If we ask Him to, if we repent of our sins, He's able to forgive. Praise God. I was saying the other day, a lot of times, Brother Richie was talking about forgiveness. Any time, we still have to forgive that person whether they ask for it or not.
That's right. Don't mean you gotta have.
I think sometimes we say, well, they ain't asked me to forgive them.
I don't mean you gotta have a relationship with them.
Well, that's true.
Right.
But you still got to. Why do you have to forgive? It sets you free.
Right. Works seriously.
It really does.
Yeah.
Makes things less complicated.
Amen.
We can lay down at night and sleep in peace.
Amen.
Praise God. Let's all stand.